Hey everybody, welcome to episode 187 of Classroom Brew. Big shout out to our Patreon fans. If you checked out last week's episode, admittedly, as I'm recording this one, it hasn't been made yet, so maybe it was good, maybe it was terrible, who knows. Big shout out to our Patreon members. I'm going to put the dedication song at the end of a few episodes here, just in case you missed it. So big shout out to you guys. Check that out at the end of the episode. And for this one, we've got another collaboration, and it's been a while for one of these. But we actually have Lindsey, who you may or may not know on social media as Teacher Trauma. So, Lindsey, what grade do you teach right now?
I teach middle school, and my school's actually quite small. So I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Okay. So I get to have them for 3 years in a row.
Nice.
In the prime of their adolescence.
That's the one that everyone claimed. I had a middle school teacher that was like, people always tell me like, "Oh, bless you for doing that." I'm assuming you love it if you're doing it for this long, and you seem like you're enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I think have to love it. I don't know how you could ever do it if you didn't. I always say that, like, I never get when the kids are like, "Oh, this teacher hates me." I'm like, trust me, they wouldn't be here if they hated you. There's no other reason to do this besides liking kids. Right. So I love middle school. I think they're funny. They're creative. They're cool to hang out with. They're smart. And yeah, they have an attitude, but it's kind of fun to help them navigate this like weird, awkward time of their life.
Right. Absolutely.
So I like it.
So you started your Instagram. You've been up on it for a while, right? Where you're essentially posting these different memes related to, and more recently, it's been remote learning related stuff. Are you in the classroom right now, or are you hybrid or remote, or where are you at currently?
So I'm pretty lucky. My school went back in person in September, and we have been back ever since. Mm-hmm. We've had a couple virtual weeks here or there after big breaks. Like if people go away or whatnot, we just like to be safe and do a virtual week, like for instance, after winter vacation. But we've been there in person, and the kids have been there every single day, except for the kids who have chosen to stay home for either, health reasons, or some of them actually just kind of thrive online. So, so we've been actually teaching. We have the virtual students on the computer and the in-person kids in the room, and we're just teaching everybody at once.
Oh God. So you don't sleep at night at all because you're busy planning. That's what I just heard right now. So what made you like decide to start? Because you were doing the memes and stuff on Teacher Trauma well before that. But what made you want to start doing those memes and things like that? Like, did it just start for like, I don't really do memes like you do. I'm nowhere near like the level of meme creation. But I started like putting them on my AP Psych kids exams, and I would make the memes about them. So that's kind of how I started doing it. But how did you start doing yours?
So I actually started the page about 2 years ago. I think it was February, 2019 that I started the page. And I just, I had a lot of things to vent about. And I realized that there were a lot of people who probably felt the same way that I did. And it didn't mean that I don't like teaching, because, you always get the people like, well, then quit if you're so miserable. And sure. I'm not miserable. I love my job. I love going to school every day, but there are parts that are frustrating. And if I keep that all inside, then it might result in me becoming miserable. And I don't want that to happen, because I want to stay in this career. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to post like other people do it, and why not me? So I just kind of posted like a meme a day. And over time, it's just been like a slow incline. Like, I think a lot of people assume that things go viral and you wake up one morning and have like 100,000 followers, but that did not happen to me at all. It's just been like a couple hundred followers, like a day or a week, it depends. And then now I'm up to 70,000 followers, and it's been really fun just connecting with people from all parts of the world. And it's crazy because, what would I think I had in common with a teacher in like India? But I'll get a message like, oh my God, the same exact thing happens to us. So it's been cool. And it's just been like a fun kind of side project that I've been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for sure. That's for sure what I'll do. Like something's on my mind, it's bothering me. And sometimes a meme is just like a fun way. And I don't know about you, but for me, it's not so much that I want it to go viral. It's just like getting that word out there.
Yeah.
You've had some good reception with it, but what's been like what are some of the main issues or things that have been on your mind lately? Like what are your recent memes? What have they been about?
I would say I'm really big into like, I don't like the way that sometimes parents treat the teachers, especially now. Just kind of like acting like teachers are expendable and they don't want to be at home with their kids anymore. So they think that's a valid reason to say that everyone needs to go back to school. Now, like I'm comfortable at school because we follow, strict protocols and my school's relatively small, but that doesn't mean that everybody is comfortable. Like, if I lived with my parents or something, I wouldn't feel good about it because God forbid I, brought something home to them. So I just think it's been a little unfair. The pressure people are putting on teachers, and also just like they think we hold all this power, like that teachers are keeping the schools closed as if like teachers have ever had any say in anything that goes on. So some of my memes are about that. Obviously, just struggles with trying to teach kids virtually because they're at home. Like how am I going to compete with your cell phone and video
Call of Duty
game?
and yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's hard. And I think a lot of people are feeling that struggle. And then again, you're kind of like to the parents who are home, like, can you help me out? Like take the phone for a couple hours, make sure your kid logs in. It's so that to me is frustrating because it should be a team effort. And there's only so much I can do through a computer.
And that's for sure what sparked my last week's episode. Well, the one that hasn't been recorded yet, but it'll come out a week before this. And it's all about like this anti-teacher stuff going on where like when we started going remote, it was like, oh, they're such heroes. And all of us in teaching were like, this is not going to last. And sure enough, now it's like they're assuming that like we're impatient too. We want to go back. Our job will be so much easier. Have you noticed like, you mentioned like maybe it's that maybe they're frustrated and they just don't want to have to be watching their kid and also dealing with like their own job. And like I called a parent and they were on their way to work and they're like, oh, real quick, let me talk to him. And they started like cursing him out while I'm on speakerphone and shit like that. But what do you think is like the main reason, at least, from your perspective on the East Coast, why does it seem like everyone's so anti-teacher in like comment sections and boards and on the news and in politics?
I think it's a number of things. I think that since everybody went to school, they think that they know what the job is. They think that it's easy, that they could do it, that, oh, you just throw on a movie, if you want to. Because back in the day, sure, our teachers did that. But I can't just throw on a movie. My principal will be like, well, what the hell are you doing? Like, this has nothing to do with, even if it does have to do with it, like she wants reasons. She wants to know why I'm teaching that. That's my job, is to teach them something meaningful, not just throw on a movie that, may or may not have anything to do with what we're learning. So I think the first thing is people think they know what it entails and that it's easy. Then people are really mad that we have the summer off, even though most of us have second or third jobs to make it through those summers, which again, they don't want to think about that part, but they just, well, you have the summer off. Like that's always, and that's the thing in America, for whatever reason, we're never happy for anyone else. We're never like, oh, that's awesome. You get a break. I wish I had a break. Instead, it's like, well, I don't get a break. So why do you get a break?
Well,
that's
and also,
very, in my opinion,
and a lot of teachers too, like, I don't know about you, but we can't spread out our salary over 12 months. We don't get paid for that window. No. So there is nothing coming in during that time. So it's not like we just get a break.
June 30th to September 15th, like that's a scary time.
Yeah, it's a rough sailing. That's where you got to, again, like you said, second, third, sometimes fourth jobs. Or if you have like multiple positions in the building to kind of supplement that 3 month span or 3 month span.
I had a student, she was telling me, she was in 6th grade at the time. She was telling me that she runs like a lemonade stand. And I was like, oh, are you hiring? I need a job for the summer. And her mom like contacted me like, hey, is everything okay? I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not really going to work for your 12-year-old child at the lemonade stand. It was just a joke. But fortunately with teacher trauma, I've actually been able to make money off of it.
Oh, nice.
So that's another reason I started it. And it's a fun way to make some extra money. But, not everyone can do that. So I know teachers who are waiting tables, who are working at summer camp all summer long, nannying, tutoring. I mean, so yeah, we have the summer off in quotes, but not truly, unless you have a spouse that can, provide in that time, that would be lovely. So, I'm fingers crossed. I'm banking on finding that person. But so I think that people are envious of the schedule without realizing that most of us are at home every night and every weekend planning, grading, etc.
Yeah.
Staying up at night thinking about other people's kids,
right.
which is also exhausting. And so I think those two things combined, and now they're blaming us for having to watch their own kid.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I made a joke at the beginning of quarantine, so it turns out everyone hates their fucking kids. Because no one was like, oh, this is so nice. I get to spend more time with my family. Everything was like, can someone come over and shoot me in the backyard? And I'm like, what? That scares me because I don't have any kids, but do I want them?
Right. Do I have to look forward to it? Like, should I start living vicariously, parenting vicariously through my job? Like, that's scary.
Yeah, I don't know. People didn't seem overly thrilled. So I don't know. But unfortunately, I think all those things combined and they make us the villain, which is wild because when we were growing up, teachers were revered. Your parents sometimes would side with the teacher over you.
Right.
And
didn't matter what it was. Sometimes it was just whatever they said. Yeah. It's a whole different world.
It's just, I mean, everything is just flipped.
Yeah.
And that's really frustrating because I put so much time and energy into these people's kids. I love them. I love your kid. I want to keep your kids safe. I want to teach them and help them grow. And in return, you hate me. It's just crazy.
Right. 9 times out of 10. There was a kid too. And it's funny that you mentioned the parents specifically with the anti-teacher stuff, where we had a kid that a couple of years ago, we were trying to get him to do work. And we were like, what's it going to take? And he was like, pay me, with a straight face. And we were like, oh my God. So the parent comes in for a thing or whatever. And then she just starts cursing us up and down. And then nowadays, the same kid, same parent, kid's not doing anything with remote learning. And the teacher tells us to fuck off, and her kid will do his job when we do our job when we're back in the school. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
God.
It's just insane.
That is so wildly infuriating.
It's just,
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm lucky. The parents at my school are all, for the most part, very appreciative of us. I mean, I got a lot of nice, encouraging messages during quarantine when we were at home.
That's good.
So, I mean, and it was hilarious because some of the parents would listen. Obviously, they'd be around the house while we were teaching. So they'd hear it. And this one mom would email me please go have several drinks. I will send you alcohol. She's like, how are you not all alcoholics? This is I don't understand. So that stuff was fun and funny because they were acknowledging that it's hard.
Right. I remember too. So some of my kids, they mostly use the captions. Maybe they have a loud environment or they just prefer to read what I'm saying. And I've turned on captions because I have 2 screens. So I have captions on for myself and they are very inaccurate. And I'm so afraid that a parent's going to read it one time and be like, what were you saying on this? I'd be like, no, I didn't say that. Yeah. Because they're just so wildly inaccurate. But
that's funny. I didn't even realize that.
That's scary.
I don't know if any of my kids use those.
I hope not. I have to clarify too. There was one time, I think I said the word conduction or something. I don't remember what the context was. And it came out as COVID. And I was like, no, we're not. No, that's not what happened. I think it was just on Google's mind. But do your colleagues know that you are teacher trauma? Because I feel there's always this semi-anonymity, like you mentioned, how are teachers not alcoholics? I have a teaching and beer podcast, and mine's kind of anonymous, but kind of not. Do people know?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I didn't tell anybody about it. And then, so I have 4 of the girls at work, I'm I'm close with most of my colleagues. I have an awesome staff, but 5 of us are very close. And so the one day I posted a meme, and one of the girls in the group, she tagged all of us in the meme. You know, like you see a meme that reminds you of your friends, and you tag them. And I was like, oh, I got to tell her. So I was like, hey, want to hear something funny? She's like, yeah, what? I'm like, that account you tagged, that's me. And she's like, what the fuck? So I would I'd reveal myself like little by little. And then
Sounds
recently,
like a vigilante. Like Spider-Man revealing their identity. Like, hey, so I got to tell you something.
I'm doing the Lord's work out here. So then a couple weeks ago, my principal came up to me and she was like, oh, by the way, didn't realize you had this meme account. And I was like, I never say anything mean about our school. And she's like, no, I know, it's hilarious. So she actually thinks it's totally cool. Yeah, she's pretty cool. So that was fortunate. Yeah. So I'm mindful, obviously, about what I post. I'm never going to try to make my school look bad. I love my school, but it's never personal. It's just like, I think I'd have these same issues anywhere I went, you know?
Well, and I think anytime whether it's a podcast or a YouTube channel or someone doing a set or it's a meme, you're also pulling from other different things and stuff that you've heard. They're not always specific to you. I'm sure there might be a couple where your principal might be like, this sounds a little bit like Lindsay's day last week or something like that. But but you pull from different areas.
I did make a meme like making fun of a self-care PD that we did, and I posted it like that, and and that was before I knew like she knew. So I felt bad because I mean it was well intentioned. Like they wanted to help us. It was just, you know, we're all cranky, and I just thought it was funny. I didn't mean anything by it. So I had to, you know, apologize for that one. But but even some of them, I don't relate to some of them at all. I just know other people will, or in some cases, there are things I relate to that I know others won't. So I just don't even post it. Like, for instance, one of my favorite things about my principal is she sticks up for us to the parents, and she doesn't like tiptoe around it. She's not afraid of the parents. If they're wrong, she's going to back her teachers, which is so rare.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
And so it's the best. And it's hysterical. Like, she has the best like lines to them. It's always like a one-liner that just like ends them. And it's so satisfying. And so, because, you know, it's every parent's thing is like, well, I'm going to go with the principal. Like, they think that that's them doing something. And the principal's like, no, you're wrong. So I love that she defends us. And I was going to make a meme about it. Like, when, you know, your principal, like, totally roasts the parents that are coming for you. But then I realized, I'm like, no one's going to relate to that. And it's just going to turn into people like, well, that must be nice.
Right.
Because also, you probably realize this from your page too, like people write to me as if I was speaking directly to them. Like, they'll be like, well, this doesn't apply to me. I'm like, okay, right. Thank you for letting me know, random person from Idaho, that my meme didn't reflect your day-to-day life.
And there's I don't know if you watch Comedians in Cars, but Steve Harvey was on, and like he was doing a set or something like that, and someone came up to him after and was like, "Oh, well that joke offended me," and he goes, "Oh, well, I didn't know you were coming." So like it's kind of like one of those things, but it's true where it's
a good answer.
Everyone does assume that it's like they're being personally attacked. Like, even if it's some article about like someone did blank, everyone's like, "Well, I can't believe that, and we don't have that, and we never had it." Like, it's not for you. Just keep scrolling, buddy. Like. It's absurd.
It really is. Like, I cannot imagine stopping on something that didn't relate to me and be like, and saying like, well, this didn't happen to me. You're yelling into the void, because if you think I have time to address that, like, I just don't. It's just stupid. It makes me laugh though, but it's also annoying.
It's just everyone's inherent, what's it called? Like conceitedness or, egocentrism, or it's just all got to relate to
narcissism
them.
in a way. Yeah, it's like I don't know. I like people who can laugh at themselves as well. Like I recently I'll do like a question in my story and then I'll post people's answers. And I asked what like teaching word or phrase are you just totally sick of, like that you never want to hear again for the rest of your life. And someone said kiddos, and then like hundreds of people said kiddos, and everyone hates it. And people who use the word all the time were like funny about it. They're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I'm such an asshole. But then other people will be like, well, I say it all the time. What else should I say then? I'm like, I don't know. I don't actually care. You could say it all you want.
Right. It's insane. It doesn't have to be this big thing. Like just like you said, just poke a little fun at yourself. That's all you have to do.
Yeah,
and then
I do it all the time.
So this actually, it seems like a perfect segue into, so we do a segment here called the Comment Hero of the Week. Welcome to the Comment Hero of the Week. When someone's being an ass in the comment section, but they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
What's going on is you failed fucking social studies.
Or when you see someone call that person out, they are our Comment Hero of the Week. Yeah! Even though some heroes do call out those idiots, remember, don't call out a comment hero in the comment section. You can't fix them, and you can't fix stupid. Our comment hero, it's not from this week, but, since you've got this meme account and things like that, there are plenty of people that they jump in because they are somehow personally offended by it. So this is actually from November 2020. I don't want to say too much because we don't want anyone to like actually go out and attack this person if they get, angry, being like, you were a comment hero this week, you're an asshole. But you posted a meme and it was teachers who had to return to school in person when asked what they're thankful for this year. And it's basically someone with they have like a neck brace and there's a bruise on their head and they're on crutches. And it's, I'm just happy to be alive. So our comment hero is Julie L. That's going to be her alias. Who decided to comment, I didn't have to. I wanted to be in my classroom with my students. And the reason I chose this one is, and I don't know if you're going to remember this one, but do you remember what you happened to say to Julie L in response? Which, by the way, fantastic meme. But do you happen to remember what you said back in November?
I don't remember, but like just knowing myself, I definitely must have said something along the lines of like, everybody wants to be back in the classroom, but maybe not. I don't know.
You nailed it. So word for word, you said, so does everybody else, genius. People can also be relieved they didn't get COVID when doing so. And that's exactly why I was like, yes, that's exactly it, Lindsay. You nailed it. So that was perfect. Do you tend to get a lot of people that are like those in particular where it's like this, I'm holier than that? Like it's part of it is like, being offended by it, which we just kind of went into, but like, does it seem like everyone takes it so seriously that they're trying to still remain that perfect prude, I'm perfect teacher?
Yes. There was like a meme that I posted towards the beginning that it was about like when, the most challenging kid in your class is absent, and it was like somebody saying like, thank the Lord or something.
Right.
And listen, I love every kid, okay? Even the hard ones. Sometimes we love them the most. But you're allowed to be like, okay, I need a break for a day. Like I can do other things with my time for one day than, always be with this one child. And I just remember people saying like, that's horrible. How the class is not complete unless every child is present. And I was like, oh my God.
It's not a job interview.
People must hate you at at the staff party. Everyone stays away from this person. So that was annoying because it's like, then my page isn't for you, and that's fine. And I'm thrilled that you love all your kids. I love mine. I just use humor as a coping mechanism. Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't. Just scroll on by.
Right, exactly.
And one of my followers commented once, if it don't apply, scroll on by. And it was just like my favorite thing because it's true. Just go. You don't need to comment. You don't need to tell me you're unfollowing me, which people also love to do. They like to let me know.
That's like those heroes that are like, I'm taking a break from social media. You won't see me. And it's like, nice job while we slow clap for you. Like,
yeah, just take the break. You don't need to let us know.
Right. Joe
They want, like,
Dombrowski
a
said that
medal.
too. Joe Dombrowski said that as like, well, the trash is taking itself out. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Sometimes I do comment back, like, for instance, if someone's like, well, I love every student in my class, I'll be like, your trophy's being engraved. It should ship out to you in 3 to 4 business weeks.
There
Like,
you go.
I don't know what you want from me. I don't know if they want me to have some revelation and take it down because I realize I'm a horrible person. Like, I don't know what their goal is. So I sometimes, like in the comment hero segment that we just did there, I do respond and I really try not to, but it just depends on my mood. But I often delete the comments, and somehow they notice, like, immediately, which shows me they're trolls because they're coming back to check, like,
Right,
if they
yeah.
stirred up anything, because they always notice. And they always, oh, this account is silencing people. Like, no, it's my account. I can do it. I'm not the president. I don't owe you your First Amendment rights on my personally owned page. If I don't want your comment there, then I'm going to get rid of it. So
Right.
I actually do it for them sometimes, because then my other followers who are sane and funny as hell will, like, attack them. And while it's funny, I actually feel sorry for them because they just get, like, piled on.
Oh, sure.
So,
Sure.
so I'm like, I'm actually going to save you the hassle and just, I'm going to delete that for you. I have had a few good conversations with people like that in DMs. Like, sometimes I'll message them and be like, listen, this is where I'm coming from. Where are you coming from? And we'll have a good conversation. Like, especially the people who thought COVID was a hoax, like that, I really wanted to be like, let's talk about this. So why is my best friend watching people die in the ICU?
That's, by the way, the most empathetic and, like, that's like the nicest thing I've ever heard anyone do when it comes to, like, some sort of troll in the comments section. Like clearly, like, the people that are commenting these things, like, that's the kid that reminds the teacher, oh, you forgot to give us homework. And I feel like you're somehow in, like, the middle of, like, you're trying to, like, the person that says something wrong in a discussion and the whole class turns on them. I feel like you're going to jump in and be the mediator. So that's way better person than I could ever be. So that's nicely done. But that's a good strategy.
When I do destroy them verbally, I never feel great about it, So
Sure.
I'm like, okay, let me message this person, because they do follow me, and I do need to appreciate people who take time to follow my account. And if they do like other things I post, I don't want to alienate them. So I will try to talk to certain people. I had a great conversation with a woman from Nebraska, like in the peak of, quarantine, because she was saying COVID's not real. And I said, listen, I just want to tell you what we're seeing in New Jersey. I'm just letting you know. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying this is what's happening here. So let's talk about it. And she ended up apologizing.
Wow.
And because at the time it wasn't a big problem in Nebraska yet. And eventually, it was everywhere pretty much. But she was like, I really didn't know, and I'm sorry. I'm like, that you don't need to be sorry. Just, if you don't know, it's okay, but don't pretend you know. Sure. Or don't decide, well, I didn't watch anyone die from COVID, it must be fake. No. Right. And so, like, I do like having those conversations, and I don't want people to feel totally, misunderstood, but then I need them to give me that back, and don't attack me for making a joke that you didn't get.
Right. Exactly. I think that's a really smart approach to take too, where it's like anyone that's trying to claim to be the expert is just full of shit. So you saying, well, here's where I'm coming from, I feel like that's kind of something that disarms them a little bit, because most people have a hard time empathizing unless they can see something directly or hear or put a face to a name. So I feel like that's a really good strategy. Maybe we should change the comment hero segment to be like, don't engage with the comment hero, just reach out to Lindsey and she'll take care of it all and we'll all be happy.
I'll have a heart to heart with, I'll FaceTime them. No, I still think it's funny to call them out, because they're still there. That takes a lot of arrogance to decide that you know better and you're going to leave that comment to begin with. But if we can, maybe turn a few of them, I'm going to try. It doesn't always work. Trust me. I've been told to fuck off many times, but I also have had conversations that started with like, fuck you, teacher trauma, I'm unfollowing you, and have ended in like being on good terms.
Oh, that's impressive. We won't name
It's
names.
rare,
If they're listening now,
no.
they're like, oh shit, she's talking about me.
They know who they are.
And then your principal too is like, oh, there was that one meme, but Lindsey was saying some really nice stuff about me advocating for our teachers in the buildings.
And I'm not kissing up, man. It's just the truth.
There you go. So you have a book. It's like a Would You Rather Made You Think edition.
Yes, I did.
What was what made you come up with that? Because we used to do a segment on the podcast called How Would You Handle It? And it was this book. I forgot who wrote it, and it's basically different teacher scenarios or whatever it may be. I love that. So when I saw the Would You Rather thing, it kind of reminded me of that because it's from a teacher. It's a Would You Rather type of thing. What led you to writing this and coming up with this idea?
So the short version is actually someone from Penguin Random House contacted me. Oh. Which I at first was like, okay, this is definitely fake. Like, one of those fake accounts. It's like, all you need to do is give us your social security number
right.
And you'll write a book. So I looked the girl up on LinkedIn. She appeared to be a real life human. And so we talked on the phone and she was like, hey, so I guess now how books come out a lot of the time, unless you're already established, is they analyze data to see what kind of book people will buy, and then they find authors to write that book. It's not like people like, hi, I have an idea for this book. It's more like, here's a book, can you write it? And then once you've established yourself a little bit, then you can propose things on your own.
Sure.
Or at least that's how they were doing this. So she was like, hey, we think you're really funny. We like your voice. Would you be interested? Of course. So I interviewed with a couple people at Penguin, and then eventually they let me know that, and I sent them like sample questions, and they picked me to write the book. So they sent me just an outline of like what they wanted the book to be, and then I wrote it. It was like a really easy, awesome process. It was great working with them, and I actually just finished a second one.
Oh.
So that's coming out Memorial Day weekend, I believe.
Nice. What's that one called?
So that one is Would You Rather Family Challenge Edition. So The questions are a little more aimed at people of any age, as opposed to being very like kid-centered. Mm-hmm. So it was a little complicated because you want the questions to be mature enough for like parents to want to answer them, but also that the kids will understand them. So,
right.
So that is coming out in May, and it really just fell into my lap just from having this page. So that was like a dream come true. I like couldn't even believe it, but it was awesome.
From meme lord to Penguin Publishing book lord. Do you have like a favorite Would You Rather that from maybe let's do the one that's already published. We don't want to spoil the one that's coming out, but do you have a favorite one that comes to mind?
You know what's crazy is like I wrote them all, but I don't remember most of it.
That's for sure like a survival data dump. Like you kind of have to be able to continue throughout your day. Like
I bet if you went back and listened to like episode 1 of this podcast, you wouldn't even know what you were going to say.
100% zero. Because people are like, remember when you said this on episode 50? I'm like, I'm on 180 something, lady. Like that's gone.
Yeah. Like, no, that left my brain a long time ago. So one that the kids really debate strongly over is, would you rather have cotton candy for hair or spaghetti?
Nice. See, this is perfect. This is me basically getting a review from the author, so now I can go buy it for my niece and nephew, and then we'll just have fun little car rides. So
I'll send you a free one.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm excited, though. We also want to support, we want to support teacher authors, too. So
thank you.
But I think I saw it on Amazon. Where else can they find where will they be able to find the new book, and where can they find the other one?
So both books will be, the first book is on Amazon and the second one will be as well. You can find it at Barnes & Noble, Target, pretty much anywhere books are sold. You can find it on their website. And then some of the bookstores have it in person, but a lot of the sales are online. So, I recommend getting it through Amazon, just because it gets to you the quickest.
Right.
But But yeah, it's really crazy to see it on Target's website, on Barnes & Noble.
I can't even imagine. That's so
I
cool.
on the day it came out, I went to Barnes & Noble to like see it in real life in the store, and that was pretty cool.
I can't even imagine. And by the way, for the listener, we're not being paid by Jeff Bezos to recommend Amazon. We just want you to get it as soon as possible. I wish we were being paid.
I know everyone, I get yelled at all the time because I'll like promote the book. And so I promote it through Amazon because for every sale on Amazon, I get a cut of it. So that's why I promote it through there. Mm-hmm. And people are like, you really should be supporting local mom and pop bookshops. And I'm like, I know I do, but like, I need money. I'm poor. Help me,
Right. We got to be realistic here. Definitely.
Like Jeff Bezos has enough money for the rest of his life. It doesn't matter at this point. We're not sticking it to the man.
All right. We're not going to make an impact.
Amazon. Although, of course, I support, fair treatment for their workers and everything. But
right. See, there's our teacher instinct coming in right there. But well, so Lindsey, thanks so much for being on. I'm hoping more people, check out the page. Just in case somebody doesn't know, where can they find you on Instagram to check out those awesome memes?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Teacher Trauma. I just recently got into the TikTok world at Teacher Trauma because people were making TikToks out of my memes, but not crediting me.
Can they do that?
And going viral. They were literally taking things I had written and saying them. One of them, like, 50 people have used the sound and they're all like, go follow blah, blah, blah. Like the girl who did it. They're like, go follow her for great content. And I'm like, what the hell? So I'm on TikTok now. So yeah, follow me at Teacher Trauma. I do some fun like questions and polls in my stories that people like. And it's turned into a nice little community of teachers who connect with each other and we all commiserate through humor. So I just appreciate really anybody who can relate and who takes the time out of their day to comment or send me a nice message. So, and I appreciate you so much for having me on. Thank you.
Oh, of course. Well, everybody that's listening, thank you so much. If you haven't checked out the Patreon, you can get those shot glasses, all that beer-related drinking stuff, but also some bonus content. Check out that Patreon thing. Is going to be at the end of this episode. So if you want to hear me doing I'm not actually trying when I sing. Let me point that out. I'm not actually trying, but we're putting some soul back into the podcast. Reach me at Classroom Brew on social media, or you can email me classroombrew@gmail.com. And thank you guys so much. And until next week, class dismissed.
Classroom Brew on Patreon. Koozies and coasters, shot glasses, bonus content and voting power. Lish Cromwell from Minnesota has 1,000 classrooms. That shit is crazy, but that's Minnesota. Leo Sanchez got a lot of land. He's been on the pod. It was really grand. He's teaching in person during COVID. Sabrina Bachman from Ohio teaches French class, but I don't remember French. Sorry for my teacher who taught me French. You were really cool, but that was years ago. This dude beat cancer, getting real strong. He posts it on the gram, he's a real badass. James Biner, that's fucking right, James Biner. Cindy Montoya from California, Lazy Teacher Podcast, that's a bad look. Definitely not lazy, big time podcast fan. Melinda Bradley, she's from Florida, wore PPE. for her staff photo. That's Melinda Bradley. Melinda Bradley. Classroom Brew. Check it out on patreon.com.